Base launch trajectory countdown net pad is clear.
10, 9, 8.
Launch auto sequence has started.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go for launch.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Stage separation confirmed. Dragon separation confirmed. Stage 1 is transonic. Landing legs have deployed. And Falcon 9 has landed.
Hello everyone, it's Thursday, June 20th, and you're looking at a live view of our Falcon 9 rocket awaiting its 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Florida. My name is Kate Tice. I'm a Senior Engineering Manager here at SpaceX, and I'm joining you from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Welcome to our live launch coverage of the Astra 1P mission on behalf of our customer, SES. Today's launch marks SpaceX's 62nd mission of 2024 and the 346th overall Falcon 9 mission to date. Now, as some of you may recall, SES was one of SpaceX's earliest customers and has been a key partner for us over the years. Astra 1P marks our 12th dedicated mission with SES, having first launched SES-8 in 2013, and most recently the third O3B mPOWER mission last year. But perhaps most notably, back in March of 2017, as you see here on your screen, we launched SES-10 on what was the first reflight of Falcon 9. I remember that webcast very well. It's still one of the most exciting missions I've hosted because it was the first time an orbital class rocket had ever flown twice. Now, just 7 years later, reusing our boosters seems like the norm. SpaceX has reflown Falcon rockets 290 times, including 4 boosters that have completed 20 or more flights each. Today, we hope to add one more to our tally with the launch of Astra 1P. The Astra 1P satellite is a wide-beam broadcasting satellite with 80 Ku band transponders for broadcasters and content owners across large TV markets in Germany, Spain, and France. We'll have more to share about today's mission a bit later in the webcast. We're currently at T-minus 11 minutes and 15 seconds. The vehicle is looking good, and teams are not working any technical issues. Weather is also looking good. As you see there, it's a beautiful day with some clouds in the background. However, something we will continue to monitor, as there was a 40% possibility of violating the launch criteria weather-wise. So, continuing to monitor that. But for now, let's learn a bit more about the Falcon 9 supporting today's flight. Falcon 9 is a 2-stage rocket that is designed and manufactured by SpaceX for the reliable and safe transport of people and payloads to Earth orbit and beyond. It is the most flown U.S. launch vehicle ever, and it's currently the only orbital-class rocket capable of reflight. The entire vehicle stands 229 feet tall, or about the height of a 21-story building. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage, also referred to as the booster. Not only is the first stage the largest part of the rocket, but it's also the portion of the rocket that we attempt to land for future reuses. Today's booster will be flying for the 9th time, having previously supported Axiom 2, Axiom 3, CRS-30, Euclid, and 4 Starlink missions. At liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage accelerates through the Earth's atmosphere and into space using 9 Merlin M1D engines. Together, these M1Ds deliver 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Upon separating from second stage about 2.5 minutes into flight, it will return to Earth using a combination of those Merlin engines and 4 titanium grid fins located near the top of the booster, which will help guide the booster during its re-entry and landing. After stage separation, the booster will attempt to land on our drone ship Just Read the Instructions, which, as you see there on your screen, is currently parked out in the Atlantic Ocean. Landing a booster is a bit like flying a pencil over the Empire State Building and trying to land it on a shoebox on the other side, in the middle of a windstorm. Now, turning our attention to stage 2, it will continue to target altitude. It will continue to its target altitude, where it will deploy today's payload, the Astra 1P satellite. The The second stage sits above the first stage and has a single Merlin vacuum or MVAC engine that ignites after the first stage separates. Falcon 9's first and second stages are connected by the black carbon fiber inner stage, and that houses the MVAC nozzle and the system that decouples the two stages during stage separation. Located above the second stage is the payload fairing, which is the large barrel structure at the top of the rocket. And inside that fairing is the Astra 1P payload. At 17 feet in diameter, the carbon composite fairing protects satellites on their way to orbit and are jettisoned approximately 3 minutes into flight. Those fairing halves you see there on your screen, they are both flight proven, with one half flying for the 6th time and the other half flying for the 7th time. After separation from the second stage, both fairing halves will return to Earth and will be recovered by our recovery team on board Bob, which is one of our recovery vessels. Bob is already at sea and ready to retrieve those fairings. Now that we're familiar with the vehicle, let's learn a bit more about today's telecommunications satellite.
Television has been an indispensable part of our lives ever since its invention, bringing people together and connecting them through shared experiences. SES's satellites have been playing a pivotal role in delivering favorite content to viewers for decades. And now, we're thrilled to have our innovative Astra 1P satellite embark on its journey to space to do exactly that for years to come. Built by Thales Alenia Space, Astra 1P is the most powerful wide-beam satellite ever to broadcast from SES's prime orbital slot at 19.2 degrees east, with a sole mission to deliver superior TV viewing experiences to 190 million TV households across Germany, France, Spain, and beyond. With superior reliability, wide reach, and unparalleled image quality, public and private broadcasters, sports organizations, and content owners can rely on Astra 1P to reach their audiences across Europe.
I'm super excited that you joined us for this launch of Astra 1P. Astra 1P will replace 4 existing satellites and seamlessly take over their mission of delivering prime content to 119 million TV households across Europe. That is more than 300 million people. This satellite will serve some of our largest media customers like Sky, Canal+, Telefonica, and RTL to deliver the valued high-quality content to their customers. And it will also address the growing demand of sports and events, so that customers like NFL and various football leagues can easily distribute their content across Europe. And of course, Astra 1P will also ensure the delivery of high-definition content directly to our subscribers of HD Plus Business, which is the high-definition satellite TV platform in Germany. Let's go ahead and see this launch.
We're currently at T-minus 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Falcon 9 is tracking no issues, and the payload is healthy. The vehicle has been loading propellant since T-minus 35 minutes, and that will complete at T-minus 2 minutes. The range is ready to support, and weather is still looking good. If for some reason we are unable to launch today, we have a backup window opportunity tomorrow at the same time.
Are pressurizing for strong back retract.
As we heard there, the strong back retraction is beginning, sequence will begin shortly. We'll begin by opening the clamps that you see there on your screen just below the payload fairing. Following that, once the clamp arms are fully open, the strong back will begin to retract away just a couple degrees away from the rocket.
Strong back retract has started.
We can see those clamp arms opening now. While we retract the TE just a couple degrees at this point, at T-0, the ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE away even further from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the structure is hinged and, as you can see, retracts away from the vehicle in preparation for launch. We sometimes refer to it as the strong back, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in the lead up to launch. We use the TE to roll out the rocket to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. It's also what we use to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and the payload until Falcon 9 switches to internal power and clears the pad. At this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Stage 1, Pogo.
First stage is finishing up its LOX load now.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
And there we just heard the call out that is now complete. We expect to hear that second stage LOX load is complete at T-2 minutes. The white clouds that we'll begin to see around the vehicle is the chilled gas, which is above the LOX tank, and we vent that overboard to maintain the vehicle pressure in the tank as needed. And when that vented oxygen comes out into the air, the humid Florida air condenses into clouds and water. We're standing by now for second stage propellant loading completion.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
And with that call out, Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with nearly 1 million pounds of propellants. Now at T-minus 60 seconds, we'll hear the call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. This means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Just inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light...
Ground gas closeouts.
Inside T-minus 2 seconds, we light the M1D engines for liftoff. The Astra 1P satellite continues to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team still tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather still looking green, a beautiful day in fact, and the range is ready to support our T0 of 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
At this point in time, Stage 1 and Stage 2 are beginning to pressurize for launch.
Go for launch.
And there we just heard our launch director give the final go for launch tonight. We're currently at T-minus 35 seconds, and all systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with the Astra 1P satellite. Let's listen in on the final moments of the launch countdown.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Go SpaceX, go Astra 1P. Mission downrange.
We're at T-minus 30, or excuse me, T-plus 33 seconds and counting. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, carrying the Astra 1P satellite. After clearing the tower, we tilted or gimbaled the engines to initiate a roll maneuver.
Power and telemetry nominal.
And you may notice that in the Stage 1 camera view. This enables the vehicle's antennas to stay in the best position for communicating with the ground. In just a few seconds, we're going to be throttling down the engines in preparation for max Q, which stands for the maximum moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
Max Q.
And there we heard that call out. As Falcon 9 accelerates through the thicker lower atmosphere, that air density decreases. Falcon 9 passes max Q once the air density lowers faster than the increasing speed of the vehicle. You can keep your eye on the Stage 1 telemetry there in the bottom left-hand side of your screen, and keep an eye on those speed changes through ascent. Now, the rocket typically needs to go 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and therefore get into orbit. In about 30 seconds, we're going to have 3 events coming up that will happen all in succession quite quickly, starting with main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation and second engine start 1, or SES 1, not to be confused with today's customer, SES. As the name suggests, main engine cutoff is where we shut down all 9 M1D engines on the first stage. Beautiful views coming from the Stage 1 booster. Coming up on MECO now.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition.
And there you heard and saw those events happening back to back. The next event we have coming up is fairing separation. We will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves once again as they fall back to Earth, and we will do so with our recovery vessel, Bob. As a reminder, Astra 1P, our payload today, is a wide-beam broadcasting satellite with 80 Ku band transponders for broadcasters and content owners across large TV markets in Germany, Spain, and France.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there we just heard confirmation of that fairing separation, and perhaps you caught a peek of it as well. Actually, you can see one of those fairing halves falling away in the background behind the MVAC engine there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Nominal trajectory.
Now, the next event we have coming up around T plus 6.5 minutes will be the first stage entry burn. That will be conducted by the booster, which is the left-hand side view on your screen. And that will be the first of 2 burns that the first stage will perform in order to land back on Earth. You can see the first stage is actually still very slowly, but a little bit gaining slight altitude. Looks like it might be peaking right now. The first stage continues to do so for several moments after stage separation, and we can see there now that it is beginning to, it has reached its apogee and will begin to see the altitude decrease, meaning it was beginning its return back to Earth. Everything continues to look nominal for the second stage on the right-hand side of your screen. A gorgeous daylight view of planet Earth behind that MVAC engine. To start the entry burn, we will relight 3 M1D engines, which is similar to pumping the brakes in order to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. The entry burn actually helps to reduce the heat generated from the friction of the atmosphere itself and reduces the aerodynamic forces that are acting on Falcon, which in turn helps maintain controlled flight and prepare for the landing burn. Less than a minute until that entry burn. Now, during that entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing its Merlin engines, as I said, but still obviously moving very fast. This causes the vehicle to fly through the exhaust gas of the Merlin engines, and that deposits a layer of soot on the vehicle's surface. That soot comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little bit more on the outside of the vehicle. That's why some of the reused boosters have a little bit more color on them than the newer ones that are still have a...
Stage 1 FTS has safed.
Than the newer
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there we can see on the left-hand side of your screen that entry burn has begun. We can see that speed really decelerating now on the left-hand, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Again, this is the first stage and is the first of 2 burns that it will execute in this landing maneuver.
Entry burn shut down.
There we can see and heard that entry burn has concluded. And we can see how those grid fins help steer the vehicle for a precise landing. Once again, we are targeting our drone ship, which is currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean. And the drone ship we're using today is Just Read the Instructions. Less than a minute for landing of the first stage booster. Everything continues to look great for the second stage, carrying the Astra 1P satellite. Right around the same time that we're performing that landing burn on the first stage, that call out tells us that the first stage is traveling near the speed of sound. Now, right around the same time as the landing burn, we're going to hear a call out for MVAC shutdown, or SECO, second engine cutoff 1.
Stage 2 FTS has safed. Terminal guidance.
It looks like we have a pretty clear view of the targeted landing area, so if you look closely, you might be able to see our drone ship come into view.
Stage 1 landing burn.
There we can see the drone ship in picture. Landing burn initiated.
MVAC shutdown.
Landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
An incredible view from 2 different angles. As you can see, Falcon 9 has landed once again, marking our 320th successful landing of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. It's also the 250th time that we've recovered a booster on a drone ship. Pretty cool. Now, while all of that excitement was happening, we had also had great news on the second stage. We heard confirmation of SECO 1, and we also heard confirmation of good orbit. So that tells us that we've got nominal orbital insertion. At this point, we're going to go into a coast phase, and it will last about 18 minutes. When we return, we'll have a handful of events happening, starting with second engine start 2 and second engine cutoff 2. And those events will be followed by a 7-minute coast. And finally, payload deploy around T plus 35 minutes, just before T plus 35 minutes, in fact. So stick around and enjoy some space tunes in the meanwhile.
targets on Mars, and you just boggle the mind. And the technology caught up to them.
Welcome back. For those that have just recently joined, we had an on-time liftoff of 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and it's followed by a successful stage separation about 2.5 minutes into launch. As you can see, the second engine has reignited for its second ignition, or SES-2, second engine start 2. You can see that the speed is once again increasing, as well as the altitude, following along with the stage 2 telemetry GUI on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. This will last another few seconds. This was just a short 1-minute burn of the MVAC engine. Standing by for SECO 2, second engine cutoff 2.
Good orbit insertion.
All right. As you can see on your screen, we did have successful cutoff of that MVAC engine, and we also heard the call out there for a good orbit. Right now, we are going to await the final milestone for today's mission, of course, spacecraft separation. We're going to go into another short 7-minute coast, and for now, we will see you back here at T+34 minutes for deployment of Astra 1P. Welcome back. We're T plus 34 minutes and 4 seconds into today's mission. Just before going into the coast phase, we had a successful second engine cutoff too, around 27.5 minutes into flight, and mission control confirmed good orbital insertion shortly after that. Right now, we are awaiting the final milestone for today's mission, spacecraft integration. As you can see, we have a partial view currently, but we hope to be able to see through and have visual confirmation of Astra 1P separation, but we'll definitely hear it called out on the nets. As a reminder, Astra 1P is a telecommunications satellite that will strengthen SES's TV coverage across Germany, Spain, and France.
SES-24 deploy confirmed.
All right. We saw slight visual confirmation, but definitely heard that call on the nets, telling us that we had a successful deployment of Astra 1P. All of us here at SpaceX would like to thank our customer SES for entrusting us with today's mission. We'd also like to thank the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for their support. If you're interested in more launch coverage, be sure to check spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. And before we go, as many of you know, June is Pride Month and is a time to recognize, honor, and celebrate the contributions of those within the LGBTQ+ community. And yesterday was Juneteenth, a powerful day in American history that marks the emancipation of enslaved people in the United States. SpaceX celebrates both Pride and Juneteenth with our employees and our community. We'd like to wish everyone a happy Pride Month and a belated Juneteenth. That will conclude our webcast coverage of the Astra 1P mission. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.